Hello and welcome. Today I'm so excited to introduce you to a colleague and an online friend, Judy Newbery. Welcome to you, Judy.
Thank you, Bev. I'm actually very excited to be here, so thank you for inviting me.
That's great. So, Judy, we'd love to know a bit more about you and what it is that you do.
Okay, great. Well, I work as a facial reflexologist, and this is basically a reflexologist who works specifically on the face. And I specialize in treating stress, fatigue, and immune problems, and have been a reflexologist for nearly 11 years. I'm also a registered nurse, and I worked in general nursing, midwifery, and district nursing. And I now use a combination of my medical knowledge and my experience as a nurse, combined with all the experience I have gained as a facial reflexologist, so that I can treat each client individually and give them a holistic model of care.
That sounds beautiful, because I hadn't heard about facial reflexology specifically until I met you. So this is really timely for us to have this conversation. And
sorry, go on. I was going to say, it isn't that well known. I mean, a lot of people have heard of reflexology, but facial reflexology, it isn't so well known. And I think because there's not that many places that teach it around the world, and it is becoming more well known. There's a lot more schools that are teaching it now, but in Australia, there's only one really in Sydney. So it is getting more well known, like I said, but it's a wonderful therapy, and I find it a very, very powerful therapy. And I use a combination usually of the face, mainly the face, but I also do some treatment on the feet.
Sounds divine. So we're going to explore that a little bit further. But
Great.
What I wanted to know is, so for you, you've obviously had your own well-being journey. And like a lot of us as practitioners, we came to our particular way of working with our clients because we needed something ourselves. So let's talk about your well-being journey.
Yep, great. Well, I first heard about reflexology when I was living in the UK for a number of years. Now, I had always been interested in complementary therapies and had used ones like homeopathy and naturopathy on myself and my family. And even though I'd heard the term reflexology, I really didn't know anything about it. Anyway, while I was living in the UK, I had a number of digestive issues, and a friend recommended reflexology. And I thought, well, give it a go. Don't know anything about it, but I'm sure it can't hurt. And I found it very, very beneficial. I found this lovely lady who was wonderful, very gentle, and I found it a very powerful therapy in helping reduce my digestive symptoms, but also helping with stress. Now, I tend to be a bit of a worrier, so which increases your stress, but also affects digestive problems. And I found by having these regular reflexology treatments, I'd come out feeling wonderful, but I was a lot calmer, and this helped reduce any digestive issues I had too. So when we returned to Australia, I continued nursing, and then I started to get very frustrated. I was doing district nursing, and it was becoming very task-oriented. So it was basically doing injections or medications or wound care, and even though the client may have had a lot of other issues, you had very little time to address them. And I found this very, very stressful, and it was, you would have so many people to see every day that you were on the go the whole time. And I ended up getting burnt out. And I thought, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way that I can still treat people, work with people, but in a more holistic way and less stressful way. So that's when I thought, I'm going to change my career, and I started reflexology. And like I mentioned, I've been a reflexologist now for nearly 11 years, and I find it's wonderful because I can treat people in a very holistic way and not just address their symptoms, but address the whole body. And I find that even though people may come with a particular health condition, there's often a lot of other issues behind it, like emotional issues. It can be grief that they haven't dealt with. It can be lack of self-worth and things like that all contribute to the health condition. So I find that I'm able to treat someone in a very holistic way and spend that time with them. And I love that. I love that. It's made such a huge difference to my own health too, because it's also brought out I think clients often teach you a lot of things you need to know about yourself, and you see a lot of your issues reflected in clients too. And I've learned a lot of really good boundaries around my time and my health, and a lot of self-care that I have implemented for myself too, and I can then educate clients about. So it's been a very interesting journey, but it's been great.
Yes, it's like heal yourself in the process. So I love that.
Very much so, very much so. And I'm always learning from my clients, and always often triggers things in me, and I think, okay, what are they doing? And I'm thinking, oh gosh, I'm doing the same thing. How can I change that? So yeah, it's great. I love it.
Beautiful. And so I've had, reflexology, the traditional one, and I found it really painful because obviously I had a lot of problems with my health, and but it was sort of a pleasurable pain, if that makes any sense. But now we're talking about facial reflexology. So can you explore with us how this practice actually works?
Yes, of course. Now, pain, it doesn't need to be painful, and there can be tender areas of the body because it's reflecting what's going on in the body. So let me explain a little bit further. Reflexology is a science that deals with the principle that there are reflex areas on the face, the feet, the hands, and the ears. And these correspond with all different parts of the body. So all the various organs, all the muscles, the joints, areas, the brain. So the whole body is reflected in these areas. And in facial reflexology specifically, you're dealing a lot with traditional Chinese medicine. So this looks at energy pathways through the body and the ones that can be out of balance. And meridians basically are energy pathways that are named after the main organ they go through. So, for example, the stomach meridian will start on the face, and it will sort of come from the eye, under the nose, around the lips, and come down your chin and run through your breast, through your stomach, and then down your legs. So it's named after the stomach meridian. And each meridian holds emotions too. So it can be grief, it can be anger, it can be joy, it can be stress. And in facial reflexology, I look at the areas of the body that are most out of balance. And how I find that is, just say, for example, you ate too many Easter eggs. Well, all that sugar will cause little deposits in your face that feel like grains of sand. So you may feel little areas, I sort of feel all over the face, and I might feel areas that feel like little grains of sand. But if someone's had a longer standing issue or a more serious health concern, the area is very dense on the face, and it'll feel like a very thickened area of the skin, which can even go into a lump if it is a very, very serious condition. So I explore the areas that are out of balance, and then I start treating those as well as your symptoms. So, for example, if you had asthma, doesn't mean the problem started in your lungs. The problem may have started somewhere else in your body. And then you find the area that is most out of balance, and that tells you where the problem actually started. Is this making sense?
Yes, this is perfect.
So what you do is you treat that area first, because by treating the area where the problem started, you'll get rid of the symptoms. And of course, you can treat the symptoms too if someone has, shoulder pain or neck pain or things like that. There's also Vietnamese nerve points on the face, and they're points all over the forehead. They're near your nose, your cheeks, in line with your eyes. And they can be treated very specifically for a health condition, but also for any pain issues. So if you get frequent headaches, you can treat those. If you get neck pain, shoulder pain, back pain, there's a lot of points you can work for those. It also works you can work areas of the brain. So if someone has had a stroke or other brain-related issues, there are a lot of areas of the brain that you can also treat. And it also increases lymphatic drainage. So as well as improving nerve supply and circulation to the face, you're getting rid of toxins. So there's a lot of lymphatic drainage done. There's also a Japanese acupressure points that you work on the face for a particular health condition, or it can be a pain point. There's musculoskeletal areas you work on the face. So it is very much a whole holistic treatment of the face. So I find it, very, very powerful by incorporating all the different areas that you can work. And then I work specifically for that area that is out of balance, but I can incorporate a lot of other areas of the face. So like I said, for pain or things like that. Does that make sense? That sort of explains it a little bit.
Yes. So essentially, whether you had reflexology on your feet or on your face, you're still working with the same meridians, but it sounds like you can do a few more things with these other nerve points and lymphatic drainage when you're working on the face.
Yes, very much so, exactly. The feet, I find, is great. I mainly do a treatment on the face, and then I do a shorter time on the feet. The feet is great to work the whole spine, so stimulating the whole central nervous system. And yes, you can certainly work areas of the body on the feet. But I find the face is perhaps more specific. And it also looks at, I guess, where your problem started. So, for example, it classifies conditions. So if you have something like asthma or frequent infections, or even something as serious as cancer, that is an immune system problem. So you really target the immune system as well as treating areas of the body that are out of balance. If it's something like irregular periods or infertility, you work a lot on the hormonal system. So you're bringing the body back into balance that way. And that's why I find it works a lot deeper than just doing the feet.
Mm. And so you've already started to cover my next question is, what are the kind of health issues that you could treat with facial reflexology? So you mentioned a few there, like infertility, which is fascinating to me, that you can do a treatment and actually bring the hormones back into balance in the face. And then you mentioned some other things as you were talking. So let's talk about what are the health issues that you would use facial reflexology for?
Look, it can be a very, very wide range of things. I specialise in treating stress and fatigue because I find that stress is often the precursor to a lot of illnesses. I also work a lot with immune problems. So, for example, autoimmune conditions, or it can be such as someone who has frequent infections and colds all the time to really give their immune system a boost. Also, conditions like asthma and, like I said, cancer. So cancer is very much a condition of the immune system where the immune system isn't working properly. For some reason, it's out of balance. And this could be from years and years and years back that this has started. And the immune system should be getting rid of cancer cells, but for some reason it isn't working properly. So I work a lot with that as well, with really boosting the immune system. Other conditions can be any sort of pain issues. A lot of people with pain will come and see me for pain issues too. It can be diabetes and stabilising blood sugars. It can be stabilising blood pressure. And blood pressure is often related to a chemical imbalance in the body. Hence, I'd be looking at the hormonal system, which is our chemical messenger system. So, yeah, it's quite a wide variety, I should say, of conditions. But stress and fatigue particularly interests me because I guess it's issues that I've had to deal with myself. And it's given me a lot of insight into what stresses I've had in my life and issues that have brought about fatigue and how I have learned to deal with that, and also how reflexology has helped me with that and how I can help my clients do the same too. And like I said, the immune system too is a very big one, especially today, I think, with a lot of lifestyles where people are under stress all the time. Stress causes inflammation in the body. And if we have inflammation in the body, then you're causing some damage to the cells. So I look a lot at treating that. And yeah, a lot of other immune problems that have come because of stress and our lifestyles, our diet, lack of exercise. There's a lot in our society today that causes problems that lead to increased inflammatory stress in the body.
Yes. And so, I mean, that for me is important, is those precursors is sort of almost like before you get to the cliff, you're actually remedying the part of the root causes of disease. So that's
exactly
really helpful.
And it's to break that cycle, and it's to stop you from getting to that where you actually fall off the cliff, and then it's much, much harder to get back. Doesn't mean the body can't heal, because the body has an incredible ability to heal and to heal itself and to be balanced, but sometimes it needs some help.
Yes. And so how does a typical, and maybe there's no typical, so you can tell me that, how would a facial reflexology session unfold?
Okay, so what I do, the first treatment when someone first comes to me, is I do a very detailed medical history and health questionnaire. And the health questionnaire side is a lifestyle questionnaire, I guess, because it's very important to, if someone comes to me for stress, yet they're, eating at McDonald's, they're working, whatever, 20-hour days or something, they're not having any time for themselves, they don't have any hobbies, they never rest. Well, that's a huge, red flag, because it means that no matter how many treatments they have, which is obviously going to help them relax, unless they make some changes to their lifestyle, their health, they're not going to achieve what they want to in their health. So the health questionnaire, the medical history is very important. Then I give a full treatment to everyone, mainly on the face, and then also I do a shorter time on the feet. And while I treat the face, I'm also looking to find the area that's most out of balance for them, for where their health issues started. Then I will also draw up a treatment plan for them, and this is very individual. So every treatment, like you say, is different. There isn't really a typical treatment. I mean, obviously I treat the same areas of the face, but I will obviously work more extensively on areas that need the treatment. But then a treatment plan will be organised for every person, and this is very individualised because we all have different issues, and we all have different areas that need balancing. And I will do a nerve chart, which is basically a facial chart for each person, specific to them for their health concerns. And these are points on the face that they can then do as homework. And I believe very much in empowering a client to take some responsibility for their health. Because I think we're very used to going to the doctor, getting a pill, okay, that treats the symptom, but it never treats the actual cause of it. And unless we do that, the problems are just going to come back. So by doing their homework, the client is taking some responsibility for their own health, and it also empowers them because it makes them feel as if they can do something. It's not like, I've got this diagnosis, what am I going to do? That's it. Well, you can do something. And I think we can all do something about our health. Yes, you may need some medical treatment, but you can also do something for yourself. And that means that if you feel empowered, I think your whole attitude changes towards your disease, and you can then not be so stressed about it too, because you feel that you're sort of taking some part in your healing. So I recommend weekly treatments for at least 4 to 6 weeks, because then you start the body beginning to balance itself. You start that whole healing process, and then the treatments would depend very much on the health condition. So if it is very, very serious, I may need to see someone twice a week. Now, that isn't common. Most people it isn't. But if it is a very, very, very serious condition, you need a little bit more frequent treatments. Otherwise, it can be weekly, like I said, for 4 to 6 weeks. And then I will adjust the treatments for what your needs are. So you may need to come then fortnightly for a few weeks, or else it can be monthly. And I have a lot of clients who now are at a stage of their health where they just have a maintenance. So they'll come like every, 4 to 5 weeks, sometimes every 6 weeks, depending how well they're feeling. And if they get, for example, they get a cold and they're feeling really run down, then they may need to come a little bit more often just during that phase. Or if their asthma's playing up, they may need to come a little bit more often. But like I said, it is tailored very much to everyone. And I look at everyone very, very holistically. So what is going to suit you isn't necessarily what's going to suit the next person, but the treatment is then tailored specifically for you.
I like that personal plan. It's a personal plan, really, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It is, yeah. And I love it because I found in nursing you had your treatment plans, but it was more to the condition of the person. It was more to their symptoms. It wasn't them as a person. And I see each client very much as an individual, because we are all individuals. And even if I have 2 clients or 3 clients with asthma, they're very different people. And what triggers one isn't going to trigger another. What sets off the asthma in one isn't going to do it in another. So you've got to look at them and their lifestyles too. So yes, I love that. I love I can do that holistic care. It's very important to me.
And so Judy, is there an action that you could recommend that the listeners can take?
Yes, of course. Now, a lot of the work is very visual. So it's very specific to certain points on the face, because there are about 567, I think, points on the face. And out of those, now they use about 250 that are really mainly very effective. So it's a bit hard to show those. But what I can do is show you a way of really reducing stress. And this is a great one if you are feeling a bit anxious. So what you need to do is get your index fingers of your hands, and then you rub on your face in front of your ears. So do it at the same time. Hold your index fingers and rub quite firmly up and down in front of your ears. And you can do this for about 12 to 15 times. And you can even do it, if you do it 20 times, it doesn't hurt.
And so what this over the temporomandibular joint?
It is too. But the main thing you're doing here is that there is a little spine. One of the maps of the face has a spine reflected in front of your ears. And what you're doing by pressing on this spine is you're stimulating the nervous system to calm down. So it causes a very strong calming effect on your face, especially if you're really anxious. Don't rub up and down quickly, but do it just quite firmly and slowly. And that really helps calm you down.
Oh, that's beautiful. So,
and you can, I was going to say, you can do that even up to 3 times a day if you need to.
Oh, yeah. And I love that it's so portable. So that's
it is. It's very easy. It only takes, takes a few seconds. Like I said, it doesn't take very long at all. And there's another one you can do too, is across your forehead, there are a lot of nerve points to reduce stress and to calm the nervous system. And instead of pressing on each one individually, what you can do is if you hold your palms out in front of you with your fingers spread out and keep your wrists quite loose as if you're about to play the piano. And then what you do is you tap, using those loose fingers and your loose wrists, tap all over your forehead. And you can do this about 10 times, 15 times, and just tap all over your forehead. And what this does is you're covering a lot of these nerve points that are reducing stress. So again, you're calming the whole nervous system. And that's a very easy one to do too. If you're, feeling a bit anxious or stressed, or even very tired, there's a lot of points there that'll help reduce some fatigue. So that's an easy one to do as well.
That's amazing, because I know one of my granddaughters loves her forehead being stroked when she goes to sleep. So
that's interesting.
If she's ever upset, the easiest way to calm her down is to stroke her forehead.
Well, it's perfect because you're covering a lot of those relaxation points on the forehead. So brilliant. So she's obviously knows something.
Judy, what are your tips for living fabulously?
Okay, so my main ones, I think because I work so much with stress and fatigue, my main ones are really to have strong boundaries. And that's the first one. And by that I mean have really strong boundaries around what is acceptable to you and what isn't acceptable. So, for example, if someone rings you up and asks you to do something, instead of saying yes because you feel pressured into it, say to them that you'll get back to them and give them an answer that, the next day or in an hour or whatever. And then think about it and ask yourself, does this serve me? Is it going to make me feel better? And do I really want to do it? And if the answer is no, then just ring up and politely decline. You don't have to give an excuse. Just say that, no, I can't do it. And start saying no to things that don't serve you, the things that stress you out. So it's really important to do that and have boundaries, and boundaries around your time too. If people expect you to be somewhere, for 3 hours and that's going to exhaust you, then just say, no, I can't do that. Or even in business, I find, with clients, it's important to have boundaries to protect your own energy and also for them to respect theirs as well. The second one is to ask for help. Now, this is a biggie for me because I'm a bit of a perfectionist and I'm getting better at it. But I always think I can do everything myself. And I would do everything from working with clients to coming home, cooking, cleaning, everything else. And I learned that this was exhausting me and it wasn't sustainable because I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it all. And there was no reason I had to. So ask for help. Even at work, if you've got deadlines to meet, for example, ask for someone to help you out. You don't have to do it all. Ask if you can get an extension on your time. Ask for help with that. At home, ask for your family or your partner to help out. They can cook, they can clean. Even if it's setting the table or stacking the dishwasher or putting the washing on, ask for help and learn to accept that it may not be the way you want to do it.
Yes.
But doesn't really matter. And that brings me to my third one, which is let go of control. And this is a biggie for me because again, not asking for help, I felt I had to control everything. It's all my perfectionist tendencies coming out. And I've let go of a lot of that. But learn not to control everything. You don't have to do everything a certain way. For example, vacuuming the house ties in with asking for help. If your partner does it and it's not the way you'd like and it isn't perfect, does it really matter? Let go of some of that control. One of the things I used to do was always rearrange the dishwasher. Now, my husband would stack it terribly, and he still does, but I just ignore it now. But he would throw everything in, and I would come and rearrange it because I thought, it's not going to be washed properly. And that's something I've really had to let go of. So don't feel you have to control everything. May not be perfect, but it's still done. And that's okay. You don't need to stress yourself out. So for me, really, these three things are having boundaries, asking for help, letting go of control. It means you get rid of that resentment that you may feel in having to do everything. You let go a lot of the frustration about it, and you reduce your stress levels because you know that things are manageable then. You've got others who are with you, who are helping you. You don't have to do everything. And by reducing your stress, you're less anxious, your health improves, and you're on the way to living a fabulous life.
Yes, I love those tips because that's so true, and if we are so hooked up in that perfectionism, you've got to understand what's driving it. What's behind all of that? But that could be a whole nother conversation, Judy.
Oh, exactly. I could talk about that for hours. I've had to learn a lot about that. But it's all good because it is, I think life is very much about learning.
Yes.
And then you're always improving yourself. There's always things you can do that make your life happier and less stressful.
Yes, that's beautiful. And you can find Judy Newbery at her website, which is www.soulvitality.com.au, and also on Facebook under Soul Vitality Reflexology. And those will be in the show notes for you. And Judy, thank you so much for enlightening us about facial reflexology, because as I said, until I met you, I had no idea that this was a thing. And it sounds like such a wonderful practice. It's holistic, it's encompassing. And I also love the fact that you can actually feel that in the face, and by giving people their homework to do, that they can begin to be in touch with those aspects of themselves and take responsibility for their health. And it almost feels really interesting because you have never read my book, but a lot of my book talks, so Hope in a Dark Tunnel talks to a lot of these things about taking responsibility and finding the path that works for you, because you are individual. So I love that there's so much synchronicity between what you've spoken about and about the imminent launch of my book. So that's wonderful. And
thank you.
I'm also excited that simple things, and like you taught us, 2 simple techniques can diffuse that stress in the body. And we know that the stress hormones hang around way longer than the pleasure state hormones. So let's start doing our practices like that. And, coupling it with breath work, would even magnify the results. So to slow down, breathe, and do that gentle rubbing alongside the ears, I can just imagine how powerful those two in combination would be, you know, even though each of them standalone are beautiful for reducing stress. So thanks so much for being with me today.
Oh, pleasure. It's been wonderful. And I can't wait to read your book because it sounds so much on my own wavelength than what I've been talking about. And thank you for this opportunity to explain facial reflexology, because it needs to get out there, and it is such a powerful therapy, but a lot of the techniques are so simple that people can incorporate at home. And all my clients have their nerve charts and they put them up in the mirror in the bathroom so that they can work them every morning, and they're very easy to do. And things like, you know, rubbing up and down in front of your ears, it's so simple, but it is powerful. And I think we often think that something needs to be difficult for it to work, and it doesn't. It really doesn't. And I think that's just a fallacy. We sort of think, oh, it's got to be really hard or really difficult because otherwise it won't be effective. And it's not. There's a lot of very simple techniques that can be very, very effective. So thank you so much, Bev. It's been a wonderful opportunity to talk about facial reflexology. It's been lovely chatting with you. I've really enjoyed it. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.